Now we have the beginning of our first discussion, which will be led by a lovely lady who is originally from Canada with 2 decades of professional working and living experience across all continents. Now she has been using her talents to diplomatically facilitate dialogue between key stakeholders in the tourism industry. Allow me to introduce founder and president of Anita, Mendiratta and Associates, Anita Mendiratta.
Your Highness, Excellencies, distinguished leaders, ladies and gentlemen from across the travel and tourism community, all protocols observed. Assalamu alaikum. It is my enormous pleasure to be with you all here today, and I'm delighted to start warming up the stage with a fireside chat. We have 600 seconds to be able to pull this off, so I'm going to waste no time and ask Raki Phillips to please join me on stage.
Hi, Anita.
Hello, Raki. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we know, we have an exceptional CEO of an exceptional destination. Your Highness, you have been a champion of leading this destination in not only being one that is competitive, even more than that, it's been strategically creative in cooperation. And I've had the blessing of working with Raki for a while now, and he and I had a conversation in Manila. And it was around the fact that you have, sir, spoken about the fact that Ras Al Khaimah, this beautiful destination, is actually a destination not just for the UAE, not just for the Middle East, but for the world. Because in so many ways, you invite the world to benefit from Ras Al Khaimah as an incubator for innovation and ideation. You allow the world to come here to test out concepts, to try and see how can we build forward better in the future. Why?
Thank you, Anita. During COVID, the World Travel Tourism Council was a wonderful organization that brought a lot of the tourism entities together. And as all of us struggled to try to figure out how things were happening, I felt that an emirate like Ras Al Khaimah, a destination like us, allowed us to pivot much faster. We don't have the bureaucracy that you have in other places. We have very clear leadership that gives straight direction that allows us to process things. So my proposal was always test things out in developing in what I like to call destinations of the future like us. Give us the opportunity to be able to do things. And we piloted a lot of various programs, whether it was focused on sustainability, whether it was focused on supporting communities during COVID. We were the first destination that launched a stimulus support package on April 1st, 2020. So it wasn't even an April Fool's joke. It was actual real stimulus that we gave to the non-government owned hotels to support them to get through the crisis. So I've always said the larger destinations have great headway and a lot to do. But the up-and-coming destinations have an opportunity to prove things. And you could test it always with us because we don't have the bureaucracy that other places do.
And you have the open-mindedness and, quite honestly, the open heart that goes along with that.
We do. I mean, not just, I mean, the UAE is a very progressive nation and really a model for everything that happens in the Middle East. Me as a foreigner who's been here for 15 years, I met my wife here, all 3 of my kids are born here. This is home for us. But I feel that I can contribute so much to this nation. But Ras Al Khaimah particularly is a very progressive destination, is a very progressive emirate, and the things that we're doing and we've done historically has proved that.
And exactly to that point, you are a first. You're the first time that PATA has held an event in the Middle East, which is unique because you're one of the first to ever recognize that the Pacific Asia Travel Association is about so much more than just Pacific Asia. Why did you decide to host here?
Well, initially we invited PATA in March 2020 to come, but they didn't show up. So that's their fault. But it's so important because as a community, you can learn so much from other regions. And us as a destination, we look up to destinations that have come before us and built. Singapore is a wonderful example of tourism, of how they take a small country and they turn it into something that's incredible. ago. One of the greatest drivers of livability in anywhere in the world is tourism. People want to live in a place that provides tourism. It brings the restaurants, it brings the shows, it brings the service levels, and the quality of life improves. So for us to be able to sit here with people, as I said, from all over the world, even from the small islands like Maldives and Tonga and Guam, and to the bigger cities, Japan, which is a very, very forward destination. For us, we get to learn a lot from that and improve on.
To that point about livability, one thing that I must say is remarkable about the UAE and Ras Al Khaimah itself, and Your Highness, you've been pushing this quite a bit, that tourism is not just about the visitor, it's about the visited, and the importance of livability. As we look to the world rebuilding and re-strengthening the tourism proposition, what is your call to action to leaders in this room and around the world when it comes to livability of destinations, not just visitability of destinations?
If you are happy and proud of the place that you live in, it will become part of tourism. And the UAE does that very, very well. And over lunch, I use this example. When you look at it from a business perspective, you can set up a company here in the UAE. You can have 100% foreign ownership. We have RAKTDA, which is our economic zone that processes licenses. You can open a bank account. You can hire whoever you want. You can set up the company the way you want. And hey, on top of that, you can get a golden visa for 10 years and have a permanent residency, own a home here, and your weekends are Saturday, Sunday. There is no other place in this part of the region that offers what the UAE does and it's progressive. You don't have the red tape. I use this example. I had to renew my driver's license, and you always get those messages, and you're like, this is going to be so cumbersome. I walked into an optician, and he said, I can renew your driver's license. They did my eye test, and within 8 minutes, I had my driver's license digitally. This is what the UAE offers, and specifically an emirate like Ras Al Khaimah, to any investors that are coming, any residents that would like to do that. And we saw that during COVID. We had a live, work, play program in RAK where we had over 5,000 people that actually left their homelands to come here because they could comfortably work and live and experience and have a semi-normal life.
Indeed, and it's interesting how you're opening up that door for people to relocate here. People are thinking the quality of my life is very much about not just where I play, but where I work. And why can't I do both in the same place? So now we have just under 3 minutes left. My most important question to you, sir, and knowing that His Highness is here as your adopted father, shall we say, in your adopted home, for everything that's happened in the last 2.5 years, everything you've experienced, and I believe we have two homes. We have the home, the country we're born in, but then there's the one that our heart really lives in, and you clearly are home when you're here. Why are you a better leader, Raki? Because you experienced COVID in Ras Al Khaimah.
I'm a better leader because of Ras Al Khaimah is because we opened and managed things with logic. Yes, it was scary. None of us knew what to do. But we would sit as leaders in the emirate and we would decide what is the right thing to do. Does it make sense? Does it make sense to have a lifeguard wearing a mask when he's sitting outdoor and he's far away? Did it make sense to have a band that was playing, and they had to wear a mask? These were all logical things that sometimes came down from the health professionals, from the law enforcement, and it was us as leaders that would say, let's question this, let's see how this makes sense. And His Highness was very much involved in a lot of the decision that allowed us to open effectively. But we also worked very closely with other emirates. Khadija from Ajman is here, and we worked very closely with them as a neighboring emirate to say, how can we as tourism entities open our hotels properly? How can we welcome our guests comfortably? Because as they travel, they want to feel safe and have a good time and have good memories. And the UAE was resilient in doing this, from the vaccination, from mask wearing, from opening up properly. And I'm very happy to say in 2020 and 2021, Ras Al Khaimah was one of the best performing markets when it came from a RevPAR perspective in the destination. We're happy to do that.
Brilliant. And if we look at it, and as we and I have talked before, that Mother Nature gave us this time to really think about why we are doing what we are doing and the how. And I have to say, from the global community perspective, I'm quite sure that Mother Nature looks at the UAE and Russell Khaimah with enormous thanks in her hearts for doing it right. And may this be a case study for the world on how to re-engineer destination growth in its smartest, most thoughtful, and dare I say, most logical way. So with that, we thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Raki Phillips.
Thank you, that was good.